I think one of the problems for this like next generation of guys is that the current guys are just very, very consistent, right?
Yeah.
We just saw Noah go, you know, world championship in 2023 gold, 2024 gold, and then 2025 bronze. Kashane Thompson, relatively new, right? But 2024 silver, 2025 silver. Oblique Seville, even though this is his first time on the podium, he's been getting fourth place. He's
Fourth.
been making, the finals, right? We're
Yeah.
seeing consistency. So I think it's hard to say that those guys are all of a sudden going to drop back, even with Kenny B, who, I guess on paper he's starting his 100-meter career, but I'm just remembering now he got fourth place at the Olympic trials in 2021 in the 100. Like he's not necessarily new to this, and he is, very consistent. So those guys are not only like the new guys, like Christian Miller, Jordan Anthony, they're not only going to have to run a fast time, but they're going to have to essentially hope that these guys also somehow drop back for whatever reason, right? Obviously, someone like Noah, I mean, he's not necessarily getting older per se, but like as years go on, right, it's going to be tougher to maintain, the high level that he's at. But I don't see a reason for him to drop back. Even looking at the Olympics last year, it was Noah Kashane, and then right behind you had Fred Curley, who's been here for years. You had Akani Simbine in fourth, who's been here for years. So these guys in this generation right now are just holding their spot at the top and still running very fast times that make it hard to say, all right, Jordan Anthony, cool, you dropped 9.7 windy, but can you do that? Can you drop 9.8s consistently enough to say, all right, now I can actually beat some of these guys if they drop back to a 9.8s or whatever it may be. That's, I think, one of the biggest problems. And I just don't know that I see that from anyone when we're looking towards this next Olympic cycle, right? 27, 28, 29. I'm not sure I see that. Maybe someone will get a one-off. And I mean, and it's not to just downplay anybody. I obviously someone can really start to break out, right? We still have time, but it's really hard to say, all right, I'm confident about this person. They've shown enough where it's like, all right, they're going to break through and get on the podium. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think to your point too is like we've seen um Oblique, we've seen Akani, as great as they are, running 9.8s, 9.9s consistently. Like sometimes
Yeah.
Oblique runs 9.8 like so smooth. You think this guy like he's the fastest in the world. And he comes up and gets fourth, and that's just a testament to how consistent, like you were saying, the guys at the top have been and how hard it has been to crack and get on that podium. Akani still hasn't done it at the World or Olympic stage as great as he is. He ran 980, 982 last year
982,
to
which
finish
is
fourth.
crazy.
And that doesn't get you a medal. Like some years most years that's winning. Um, so I think, for the younger guys, it's not so much an indictment. It's just like a question mark. Like we need to see more evidence to see that you're a generational talent. And I think also one thing about our sport too versus other pro sports is that we don't have the same infrastructure in terms of development. So if you're not already showing your talent as like a blue chip, record setter coming out of college, like you're saying, a Julian Alford breaking the collegiate record, Christian Coleman breaking the collegiate record, or Fred Curley, or Michael Norman, or Shakari Richardson, those type of people, the development rate is a lot harder in our sport,
Mhm.
right? Like that's why you see a lot of people in the collegiate system running those world class times, and then they just go and catch fire at worlds because they have a better infrastructure in college than they do in most pro environments, right? So if you're not one of those, high class talents that gets put in a good environment where, you have your great coach who knows what he's doing, you have a great training group around you, you have good physios around you that can keep you healthy. Like all this stuff is given to you in college, right? Like every D1 major school has good coaches, has good therapy, has the money behind it, and now we have the NILs too, so you're getting money. And if you're not getting a good contract out of college, you might have to pay for your own bills and the really good therapist to get them to travel with you overseas. That costs a lot of money. You might not have that if you don't have a good contract. Like the gap between those who have a lot of money to support themselves and invest into their career versus those who don't and they're fighting to get there is pretty big. So that's why I was such a big proponent of like a Grand Slam track where the prize money was big enough that like even the people who just get in are making a living off of that.
Mm.
Because that infrastructure is missing in our sport, and that's why you have such a big gap. So if you're not one of those guys that's hidden it and getting a good contract out of college, it's really hard for you to break through later and become that late bloomer guy, even though you might have all the talent. You're just not in the right situation.
The thing that I'm thinking about now is even like you before you brought up the African sprinters, I almost feel like that lends itself well to non-American sprinters, or like I guess non-American base. Because if you're an American sprinter, you go through the NCAA system, then you're probably possibly more likely to have some of those issues. But like if someone like Letsile, who, you
Yeah.
know, didn't go through the NCAA system, but he's going to have the support of Botswana no
Right.
matter what, like his entire country. And especially like these like smaller countries to a degree, where if you are a somewhat breakout star, or if you're on the cusp, you're probably going to have more support. You're going to have like more infrastructure from your national federation to develop. Even in the 400, the guy Muzala Semokonga, where
Mm.
he's really young, but he managed to like he's like the breakout star from Zambia, from his country in Africa, where it's like, all right, we're gonna put everything behind because we see the potential. So I think it does make a lot of sense. Where maybe
Yeah.
internationally, some of these guys might be more beneficial, or might benefit a lot more from their structures than some of these NCAA athletes.
I'm
For sure.
gonna hit the American side of it where I'm
Hmm.
thinking, remember we talked about pre-Olympics, Worlds this year, and we've kind of seen the age of the Avengers. That's what I kept calling it. But to clarify what an Avenger is, and you can keep updating criteria, so I'm not moving a goalpost, I'm just updating. Where I think if I recognize who the Avengers actually were, I'm gonna give the names again. Noah and Kenny, 100% y'all were Avengers. 100%. I would even argue that Arian Knighton, to some degree, was an Avenger.
Hmm.
Like, because again, he showed up on the world stage, showed up in the
Yeah,
finals, going for medals multiple times.
Hmm.
Fred
yeah,
Curley was an Avenger. Now, we just lost two Avengers. Just keep it in a buck.
yeah,
Two are gone. They're not going to be running in 2027 and in 2028, as far as that math, as I understand it. Am I right?
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the way that
Would
math
Trey
goes.
would Trayvon be an Avenger?
And see, Trayvon's talent and the totality of his report, I would say yes.
Okay.
I would say yes, he is. He's probably like, like right on the fringe, but like still has the qualities that would make you an Avenger. And the reason I say that is the Avengers are the guys, Christian Coleman, he's an Avenger. The Avengers are the guys who were the guy. And you knew that when they were younger.
Mhm.
Then they came and validated that status, and there was never a moment, at least early, like they went from being young and like you about to be the next. And the moment they showed up on that stage, they was ready.
Yeah.
There was no, I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna say the offensive part out loud. Everybody wants to talk about potential.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what potential is not. In the NBA context, I keep basketball, but I understand. You know how everybody called the draft the currency of hope? Because that
Hmm.
draft pick is a whole lot more valuable to it turns into a person.
Hmm.
The moment it became Frank Ntilikina, its value went way down compared to when that pick could have been Donovan Mitchell.
Right. Right.
Now,
Right.
people would draft a player, Dennis Smith Jr., whoever, and they would say, again, I'm not knocking them. They're great basketball players, just not at the NBA level. And at that level, people would say, well, it's his first year. He's young. I saw Derrick Rose when he was young. He ain't look like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's the argument.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I remember seeing Russell Westbrook when he was young.
Yeah.
He didn't look like that.
Hmm.
So all this whole potential thing, truth be told, if you are an Avenger, you had it. And then you maintained it. If anything, you fell off a little bit. But you were we you just need to go be you.
Yeah.
That's what made you special. So the question is there a young guy? Because I think when you go, I think now that I mean, Jordan Anthony a little bit different 'cause he did run in college for a period of time, but he really only ran one true track season. He ran an indoor season,
Yeah.
messed around outdoors as a freshman. That's the best way I'd put it. Nobody even remembers he was there. And then kind of disappeared for a minute because he was playing football more than anything else. Then came back and ran this year and did indoor outdoor. So like aside from that, and his report is the closest thing we have to like showing us some stuff. And then his trials didn't go well, or his USA's. Just am I right? It didn't
Right.
go well. He didn't run.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to run both events, and only ran the 100 and didn't make the final.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I guess what I'm saying is like of any of these names, because they're showing up earlier, people say that experience is a good thing. It could be like how put it? It could be a good thing that the experience is there, but the negative could be that like if you show up too early, it's almost like you're not like it can kind of set you back mentally a little bit of like, okay, I didn't make the final last time. If you don't make the final again, now what? Like I think that can kind of shake your confidence. That's why it's like, I feel like when you show up right, like basically what I'm saying is I don't really see as many athletes who showed up and showed out who chipped away. Generally, you showed up ready.
Mhm.
Like you didn't come out the lab too early.
My name is Anderson from The Final Leg.
And I'm Coach Rob from SCA Track and Field. And thank you for watching this segment from The Finish Line.
If you want to know what's really going on at the high school and college level, be sure to subscribe to Coach Rob Track and Field.
And if you want more content on the best track and field athletes in the world, be sure to subscribe to The Final Leg.